I understand science, physics. There was a recent scientific a test on this. I believe it was a French scientist. He decided to record the sound with a laser technology and playing with the variables with the frequency. The mosquito actually says Allah every 7 seconds.
I beg your pardon?
Your argument is that you record a mosquito, you make the frequency different, then it sounds like the mosquito is saying Allah, and so therefore the Quran is true.
Yes, science!
Okay, it's vibrations.
Okay, does my car speak when it vibrates?
Everything makes a sound.
Okay, so your argument, anything that makes a sound is speaking. My farts speak.
Yes, science!
Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hi, I'm 43.
All right, bro, why should I be a Muslim?
Well, actually, I was interacting in the comment section. Someone muted me, so that's why I chose to come up.
So are you able to tell me why I should be a Muslim?
Well, first of all, I was trying to say there's a verse, a surah called Kafirun. Have you read that?
Depends. What part of the Quran is it in?
Kafirun. You want me to get the number?
Is it early in the book or later? Because I'm about 80% done. If it's like one of the end chapters, I haven't read it. If it's one of the earlier chapters, I have.
So it's 109.
Chapter 109?
Yeah.
No, I have not read that yet.
It's quite short if you want to read it.
Why?
Well, basically, I know you're saying like, I was listening to the live when you're saying you guys have to convince me. But really, it's not about convincing. It's either
you don't have any evidence?
I'm content with it because I understand science, physics, etc. And
I understand science and physics as well. So what am I missing?
Okay, when you talk about the two seas not mixing, it's like there's 7 layers in the atmosphere, right? Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere. These atmospheres don't mix. This is scientifically proven. Although it looks like one.
What does the atmosphere have to do with the two seas?
The two seas is a mix.
It's two seas mix, yes, they mix.
Well,
water mixes.
What is the context of mixing?
When one blends into the other. So through time, they are different densities. So it takes a little longer. It doesn't happen instantaneously, but they gradually mix into each other. Yes. And even if it was the case that they don't mix, Aristotle still talked about this before Muhammad. So it still wouldn't be an evidence of it being a miracle.
Well, I mean, there are obviously previous books as well that mention things. So as a Muslim, we don't deny the Bible or the Torah.
Okay, so you have previous books that mention things. So why should I believe anything in the Quran?
But there are things in the Quran that is mentioned later on with the previous books don't mention it.
Like what?
Like verse, chapter number 226.
Chapter 2, what is the context, chapter 226?
So he's talking about a little genus, like a mosquito.
A mosquito?
Yeah.
Okay, so 226. It says, surely Allah does not shy away from using the parable of the mosquito or what is even smaller. As the believers, they know that is truth from the Lord. And as for the believers, they argue, what does Allah mean by such a parable? Though through the test, he leaves many astray and guides many, and he leaves none astray except the rebellious. Okay, so what's the miracle here?
Yeah. So there was a recent scientific a test on this. I believe it was a French scientist. And he put this to the test. So he was also asking the same questions. What does your creator mean by this? And I believe
which French scientist? What's his name?
I don't know. I don't know off by hand.
And what is the miracle? Like, what am I supposed to believe?
The miracle is so eventually he decided to record the sound with a laser technology and playing with the variables with the frequency. The mosquito actually says Allah every 7 seconds. So I don't see any scientific documentation.
So hold on. Your argument, I just want to be clear. This is the argument you're making. The Quran mentions a mosquito. If you listen to a mosquito buzzing at a different frequency, it sounds like Allah. So therefore the Quran is correct.
It does say Allah.
No, but you're saying it sounds like Allah. So therefore I
didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You're saying it sounds like Allah. So you're saying therefore the Quran is correct. Because mosquitoes can't say anything. You know that, right?
I'm not saying that.
But
the
hold on, can
scientists,
you just admit on live that you know mosquitoes can't say anything?
they make a sound, right?
Right. So then if they make a sound, by definition, it would sound like a law. Right? They wouldn't be saying a law. They can't
but
say
it's the
anything.
frequency.
So you're saying if you record a mosquito, change the frequency, it's going to make the sound that sounds like Allah. So therefore the Quran is true. So this is the argument you're bringing forward to me.
Look, it's like
But hold on. Is that the argument you're bringing forward?
the argument is, you know about frames per second, right?
Mm.
If you get a audio or movie which is like 24 frames per second, if you increase it, it ain't gonna make sense. If you slow it down, it's gonna be
Right.
very
I understand. So your argument is you record the mosquito, you change the way it sounds by changing the frequency to the point where it eventually sounds like it's
No, you
saying,
don't change
let
the
me.
frequency. It's
What do you mean? If mosquitoes fly at a certain frequency, you hear the sound at a
changing the
certain frequency.
means you're modifying it, but what you're doing is it's the variables. So you slow it down, you
Right,
increase the pitch, or you,
So hold on. Is slowing something down a change?
it depends what kind of change you're referring to. Though change has a different context, right?
No.
Yeah, change. You can change something from something to something else,
Yeah,
but you're
you're
not doing that.
changing the pitch. It's at a
Yeah, you're
certain
changing
pitch.
the
Hold
pitch,
on, you're
but you're
changing the
not
pitch. Hold on,
adding,
let me speak.
you're
Let me
not
speak. Let me
swapping.
speak. Let me speak.
Yeah, sure.
It's at a certain pitch, and you're changing the pitch, so it's at a different pitch. So your argument is it's
You're
playing. Your
altering.
argument is it's playing at a certain pitch. You record it. You change the pitch, and now it sounds like he's saying Allah, so therefore the Quran's true. This is your argument. Please tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay, I'm going to stick to my statement.
Well, hold on.
right? What I'm saying is
Am I representing your argument correctly or not?
not quite,
Okay, what am I missing?
because the change is not the correct context. for this.
Okay, they make the pitch different. You don't like the word change, so they alter the pitch, and therefore it sounds like Allah. That's your argument?
It actually does say it. It's not a case. It sounds like it. It says it.
Can mosquitoes say things?
Well, according to the scientist, that's what is
So
discovered.
mosquitoes are speaking. They're just flying around all the time going Allah, Allah,
Well,
Allah,
everything's
Allah,
speaking.
Allah,
Everything's
Allah,
vibration,
Allah,
right?
Allah.
Everything's frequency.
But do mosquitoes speak? Because if it's speaking, you said you're a man of science, right? To speak, you need to be able to have vocal cords. A car doesn't speak when I start it just because it makes a sound. Sounds are not speaking, my friend. So is it making a sound or is it speaking? Which one is it?
Okay, it's a sound, but it
Okay,
depends
so
how you
it's
want to
making the
interpret it.
sound, and you're saying it sounds like Allah.
Look, I'm not claiming to say it sounds like Allah.
That's
It's a scientist.
That's literally what you're saying. Now, can you just agree if this is the argument or not? I don't know why you're being so semantic on this. Your argument is that you record a mosquito, then you change. You don't like the word change. You make the frequency different, and then it sounds like the mosquito is saying Allah, and so therefore the Quran is true.
Right.
Is that your argument?
Now, I understand what you're saying.
Hold on. This is what you were saying. I just need to know if that's your argument, bro.
But to have that, for me to agree with that.
Oh, Lord, bro.
Okay.
All right. God bless, man. If you're not going to answer my question, I'm going to move on. Are you going to answer
I
it?
am answering your question.
Hold on. I'm going to ask the question again. I really try not to do yes or no questions because I really hate yes or no questions. I feel like they're entrapment, but you're refusing to answer it. So at this point, I'm going to make it a yes or no question. Am I representing your argument correctly? Yes or no?
No.
All right. What is wrong with the argument?
What is wrong with the argument is with speaking and making sound. Okay, it's vibrations. Even Wi-Fi sends.
Okay, does my car speak when it vibrates?
Everything makes a sound.
Okay, so your argument, anything that makes a sound is speaking.
Well, it's a sound that.
Okay, is your argument that everything that makes a sound speaking?
Understand each other is because of the vibration of the eardrum.
I can't. That was. I cannot do that one. Ah! I tried. My farts speak. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. If you want to watch more, you can click one of these and you can keep watching.